how's it going? I thought I'd drop in the new Minecraft trend, sort of the comeback or renaissance of Minecraft. I thought I played Minecraft a bit. Let's see how the game's changed now in the new Bedrock edition. You know, just spawned in, new world. I have it on peaceful because I'm not a pro, and mobs used to annoy me when I used to play it. So I thought I'd start new survival, have a bit of a chat, see where the game is going, how's it changed. Just basically have a nice relaxing Minecraft Let's Play, as they used to be called. First thing, of course, you do in Minecraft, you mine trees. Everyone knows this. No. I thought I first start talking about sort of the point of life, really. Like, what drives you to carry on living as a species? You know, like all this crafting menu's different. Anyway, a bit easier. Yeah, so as a species, we're all compelled to keep the species going. No one really knows why that is, except for, I don't know, it's kind of cool that I exist, so I'm not really going to question it. So, yeah, we all have this preservation of life within us, and it's kind of weird. And especially in the developed world, suicide's on the rise. You go on the internet, there's like tens of memes on, tens of millions of memes on memeing about not wanting to live, which sounds harsh on the other side, but they are quite funny. So, you know, we have to worry about a sword because it's on peaceful. So even though it's night, no mobs will spawn, hopefully. Yeah, especially in the developed world, there's loads of people committing suicide, and, like, you know, the will to live is definitely less and less the more developed one is. And I sort of was thinking to myself, what's the point of life then? Because if you're religious, then, you know, afterlife, you go to the afterlife, that's why it's called the afterlife. Makes sense, really. But yeah, if you're religious, you know, afterlife, what's your purpose in life? To do what the all-powerful or the all-knowledgeable or someone says is good. And, you know, alright, that's got your life sorted, but, you know, for the rest of us, what's the point of life? Realistically, what happens when we die? You know, realistically, everyone's like, nah, probably nothing. Probably just emptiness. So, probably just a void of death. Might grab myself some of that spruce wood, flash up the house a bit, which I think we could build on top of that massive mountain there. That seems like a pretty good house spot to build. So yeah. So if there's nothing after life, then what, you know, everyone just says straight after they hear that, they're like, well, the point of life then is just to live a worthwhile life. You know, the point of life is, oh, just make yourself the happiest in the moment, and then it will be gone, but at least you lived the best you could at the time. But that's not really true, because what's the point of living good if you're not going to remember it? What's the point of living bad? You could live the worst life ever, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because you've got infinity of nothingness afterwards. So there's no real point of that. So since life is a one-time thing in the universe, you only got one life, then surely the best thing to do with life is to make life last longer. And you could do that by, you know, eating well, blah blah blah, don't do drugs. That's what I learned from my psychiatrist. You know, don't do drugs, be good, don't waste your time, you know, eat well. You could get a couple more years on that. You definitely increase your chances of a longer life. But realistically, a longer life is just making people remember you for as long as possible. If your life is shared between your family, then your life increases because everyone you know has a bit of your life in their memory, and when you die, you still exist in their memory and what you've done. So one could assume, well, the best thing to do is just to make yourself the best in people's minds. But that doesn't make your life any better because they're going to die anyway. So the best thing to do, you could say from that, would be the best thing to do would just be to make the most memories of people, so then your life is trebled. Do the best thing you could do, so you're the most remembered that you can be, which is sort of makes sense as an evolutionary thing, because if you help your species, like say you invented the cure of cancer, your life will exponentially increase because you'll be in the history books for the next 7,000 years. Well, you know, you make that up, but you know, your life exponentially increases. So that's good for a species, because if you do good, you get a reward of extra life. And to me, that's sort of like, it's fine. Like, I would absolutely love if people, every 10, 100, even 1,000 years, if I knew just every 1,000 years someone would watch one of my videos, that would mean, that's just amazing. But that's impossible because, you know, solar flare, everyone knows that's going to happen. Internet could be gone absolute tomorrow. Even if it's not. 10,000 years, 100,000 years, this is, I'm trying to get to the top of a mountain here. I'm not really sure. I thought might as well get some stone on the way. I don't know how tall it is, so we might have to be here a while. Yeah, so so even if you increase your life to thousands of years, you're known thousands of years in the future as a thing. It still doesn't matter because everyone will die and you'll eventually be forgotten. So even though you exponentially increase your life, did it really matter? Because you're in the same place as everyone else. And it's like, so you see this with all the time in history as well. Like, it's just what some people believe causes the thing, because good or bad, history is full of people, but you know, it's full of people that's also been forgotten as well. Like everyone knows Shakespeare. His work has lasted centuries. That's how good it was, which is good for him, you know. But oh, my pickaxe broke. But what other 16th century is he in the 16th century Shakespeare? 16th century playwrights, do you know? Maybe one, maybe two? We don't even know like 10 playwrights in the 16th century. Oh, it's cold. I can't even see because my monitor's so dark. We don't even remember any of those people. And even Shakespeare will be forgotten in the future. So what's really the point of life? There isn't a point of life. And the only thing that stops people, I think, and it stops me from just, you know, why not end it then? If there's no point, we'll end it. Is the possibility that a solution will arrive in the future. But you know, how likely is that as well? How likely is that? Not likely at all either. But you hold on to that grain of hope that something will increase in the future, when most likely it won't. Now, you saw the title of the video, The Philosophy Paradox. I thought I'd talk about some philosophical questions and why philosophy doesn't really make any sense. I'm actually lost in this tunnel. What is going on? I can make some torches, actually. Torches. Quite handy. Oh, like crafting table. How did that happen? Did I drop? Whatever. Yeah, I thought I'd share some philosophical questions, my answers to them, and why philosophy doesn't really make... Are we that close to the surface as well? Well, sort of in a cave. Oh. Alright, top of a mountain. Should we build it up here? Let's build a house up here. Make a nice little house up here. Alright. How are we gonna do this? I'm not the best builder, you know. Keep your hat on. But I'll try my best. See, some classic wood blocks at the back, like you do. Everyone knows about that. Actually, let's make some other stuff. Yeah. So the first philosophical question I was gonna do was if a tree falls in a forest, doesn't make a sound. Now, my first reaction, and probably quite a lot of people, is obviously the tree. Just because you're not there doesn't mean it just didn't happen. You know, just because it wasn't there doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's like you could have a recording equipment there. You have like a phone. The sound's there. Like, what's the philosophical question? You're just being a schmoong at the end of the day. How many long is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it like that? Let's just say it is. Is that? Oh, I don't even know. What kapow? Hang on. Whatever. We can work with it. Maybe. Probably. Don't know. Sort of built it over the... Yeah. Maybe this wasn't the best idea I've ever had. Yeah, so the tree falls in the forest, doesn't make a sound. The instant answer is, of course it does, you schmoong. Why are you such a schmoong? The more... But the thing is sound... Does a sound exist if nothing's there to hear it? Because perhaps sound is just you receiving the waves and not actually itself. 1, 2 gap. So that gets a bit thing, but surely the sound still exists just because your ear doesn't receive it. Surely that, because if hypothetically something was there, even though it wasn't, the sound would still exist. The sound would be there. It's just nothing there to receive it, which sort of makes sense, I guess. So you can say the sound theoretically exists, and just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't. Oh, I built this. What? That's just a bit of a schmoong. So theoretically, the sound could exist. So, but however, because, you know, if you go on that train of logic, then so there's a tree falling off. Look, in Minecraft there can be trees falling in the forest. So in Minecraft, that tree falls down. However, if I was fully independent of that event, but was able to see it in a video, there wouldn't be any sound, because I wouldn't be able to hear it because my ears were not in there, because I'm fully independent. So even though the sound exists, you can't hear it, even though you're seeing and hearing the event, but your ears weren't there to hear it. So how does that make any sense? Well, you could go for the physicist side of the argument. How many? I have more oak, so I might as well just make oak. Maybe oak floors, birch floors. Let's go with some oak floors, shall we? Some oak floors to have. Oak floors, floor. Your fatal flaw, going back to Shakespeare. Anyway, what was I on about? Yeah, if you're a physicist, then you could say, well, sound is just the waves, and just because you weren't there to hear the waves doesn't mean that the sound waves themselves don't exist. But then So you could say, well, just because you don't hear them, humans don't hear them. Like the vibrations are still going round and round. You could say. So from there, you say, well, humans can't hear some frequencies that animals can hear. There are sounds that exist that my cat or my dog can hear, but not humans themselves. Which way should the entrance be? Let's have an entrance. I guess, yeah, might as well just have an entrance. We could have like a little pathway coming out here. Let's just, yeah. Little pathway coming out here, like that. That makes sense, yeah. So you could say there are sounds that humans can't hear, therefore sounds still exist just because there's no one to receive them by doing the same sort of logic there. And you could say that, but then theoretically, if you're talking about theoretical sounds, there's a sound that nothing in the universe can hear because the frequency is so high or so low. So theoretically, there's a sound that cannot be heard by anything. And how does that make any sense? If you're following the same logic, you believe there's a sound that cannot be heard. There's a sound that does not sound. And that's the philosophical question. And you're like, well, that sounds pretty philosophical, pun intended. But, you know, you said philosophy paradox and how philosophy sucks. So the reason that sucks is because it just depends on what your sound means. Do you believe, as a physicist, just say sounds the waves, or do you believe this sounds the reception? It's not a philosophical question. It's just whatever you chose the sound to mean. It's like going in the dictionary and saying, what does this word mean, and covering up the meaning, and saying, oh, it's a philosophical question. Well, it's not. Let's try another philosophical question, which I hate, because it shows how schmoongaloidic everyone is. This is a rubbish place to have a crafting table as well. Because it shows how everyone is just schmoongaloidic about this. How should I build the house? I don't know. Let's have some spruce. Just, yeah. Let's just build a stack of. You could have, yeah. Let's just go around with spruce, and then we'll add some more later. Add some fine detail or whatever. I don't. Yeah. So the philosophical question is the grandfather's axle the I don't know what the name is, but like I think I've got two philosophical questions mixed up in one there, but that's not the point either. The point is that with let's go with a car. This is the new way of talking about it. It's the car paradox. You have a car. You car the car. The car's the car. The car. The car is your car. How did that? Yeah, that joined up. Yeah, I built that wrong, didn't I? Yay, good me. The car is your car. Your car breaks down. You need a part replacing. You replace the car. You replace the part of the car. You don't replace the car because you're not fucking rich. So you replace the part of the car that broke. And then this repeats because you're bad at driving or something. I don't know your situation, don't at me. So, your car part gets replaced. You do this again, more car part gets replaced until your car there's no parts from your original car that still exist. I'm not sure, I'm not a car person, I don't know if that's possible, but there's no parts from your original car that still exists in your current car. Is this the same car, and at what point did it change from being not your car to your car? Is it right at the end, or is it right at the beginning? And this is sort of like the abortion argument, not that I'm going to get into that, but it's like, where do you draw the line? And this is the basis of lots of philosophical questions, which I hate, which is just that, is they part of the human nature? I'm gonna get. Shall I just get? I guess we have some snowballs. But basically, part of the human nature that Oh, now I'm destroying dirt. Part of the human nature that says, oh, wow, that's incredible. It magically turns from one thing to the other. Well, that's not true, is it? At every point you replace a bit of the car, it becomes a fraction. That's why we have fractions of the new car. So when half the parts are changed, the car is neither. The car is half from your old car to your new car. This is why we invent fractions. And it's like saying, well, it's like saying to it's like saying to the computer. It's like saying turning everything. You're saying, oh, this non-binary thing. When does it turn into binary and non-binary? And it's like, well, it's not a binary. He's like, that's the sort of questions, and it makes no sense. Like the binary, and that's why philosophical questions suck, because it's just asking something that has a clear definition and just changing it. So it's like saying 2 plus 2 equals 7. Ooh, 2 plus 2 equals 7. Ooh, but which point does it become 7? And it's like, well, no, it's never 7, and it never will be 7. It's like, it doesn't make much sense. Coming on quite nicely, this house. And that's the basis of the last question as well, like, which was just, it's just like, oh, where do you draw the line? Just, it's not, no one really bothered. Does a sound fall in the forest when the tree makes a sound? Yep, that's the right way of saying it. No one's bothered. No one cares. The answer is, well, it depends what your definition of sound is. By phrasing the question like it does, it acts like sound is a clear definition when it's just it's just saying that in this impossible scenario, we've made the question impossible, which is sort of, and they try and do it by presenting two impossible answers. Then you're like, oh, it must be true because there are two answers. When in reality, no, there isn't. Oh, okay, I might replace that dirt. An example of another philosophical question, which shows how bad philosophy is the question, like, it's like I don't know the name of any of these. Like, these are just ones that pass me by. But it's the one, if an almighty being, let's say God, because let's be honest, if you believe in another almighty being that isn't David Richter, our almighty elephant god, like, are you even properly religious? But an almighty being has the power to do anything. So, could the almighty being have the power to create something it couldn't destroy? So, like, say God wanted to make an ice cream which he could destroy, but if he wanted to make an ice cream, well, no, he wanted to make an ice cream which he couldn't destroy. Well, can he do it? Either way, it contradicts the argument. You've all heard it. Yeah, if he if he can destroy it, then the first premise is he's not almighty, and if he can destroy it, he's still not almighty, because he set himself a bit of a paradox there, didn't he? And the answer to the philosophical question is, it's not a philosophical question, there's no answer. It's literally impossible. And it's like, what's the point? And then it brings up the question, what's the point of philosophy if every question is just, there's no answer? And it's like, oh, to make your brain think, but no, you don't think about the answer because there is no answer. You go, oh, you just made an impossible question. And it's like, you don't have to think, you just say there is no answer to every philosophical question, there is no answer. That's the point of philosophical questions and why they're so dumb. Why call them questions when they can't, oh, I've just run out of words. Oh, make a spruce hat thing. Where's my crafting table gone? This is a pro tip. Crafting table goes there. When we have a bed, we'll put it there, and then we'll make a furnace and we'll put it there. Wow, we did it! Let's go! Let's make some this into that, and then we'll turn that into that. Yeah. So the philosophical question is there's no such thing as philosophy because philosophy is itself a philosophy on philosophy. If that makes sense. The whole point of philosophy is there is no point. So what's the point of philosophy? Which turns philosophy into a philosophical question, which is the philosophy paradox. You see? The philosophy paradox is that philosophy itself is the philosophy paradox is philosophy itself is philosophy, which has no point except for the philosophy of is a paradox basically. The philosophy of philosophy is philosophy. That's all you basically need to know. Does that make any sense to anyone? But no, you make sense. Think about do philosophy on philosophy, and you'll find out the philosophy paradox, which is stupid because the only people that do philosophy on philosophy paradox. Oh, I can't place these stairs. The only people that do philosophy, the only people that will realise the philosophical paradox is the people who don't like philosophy but do philosophy, which in itself is the philosophy paradox on the philosophy paradox, which is what I call the philosophy double paradox, which isn't that's going that's taking it too far. So basically, the only thing with philosophy is that philosophy is philosophy is itself, which yeah, that's philosophy. Philosophy is philosophy, which is a paradox on philosophy, which creates another paradox in the paradox, which is why it's the paradox of the paradox. Simple stuff, isn't it? Simple stuff. Do you like the stair thing I did? I quite like the stair thing. I have a couple more stairs. I'll place those there and there. Oh, stairs are annoying. You still haven't fixed how stairs are annoying. Yeah, how do I... Oh, I want to put... Yeah, if I put spruce behind that. Yeah, I might put spruce behind that there. And then we can... I don't know. I don't know. Well, tell you what. I'll end the episode here. I've got half a house going and a furnace. What more do you want? Half a house done and a furnace is the best. It's the best you really need. Half a house and a furnace. I'll end the episode here. We'll finish the house in the next episode. I hope you liked it. You know, I'll see you in the next one.